Hey, I want to say to Coach Batson, it's an honor to go after the national champ. And I've been watching Coach Bats for a long time. Like, I used to call him Joey Badass. So before the rapper came out. So I just wanted to say, like I'm really honored and privileged. You're going to hear some things that contradict things that you've heard in presentations. That's not me throwing shade. That's just really just how I am. So if it doesn't complement another presentation that you heard, that's not shade. That's just, I'm always trying to just be honest and give you exactly what I do and what we do as a program. You know, I don't try to do what everybody's doing or what nobody's doing. It's just what I know I do. And that's why the title of the presentation is I Know Nothing. Because when I get up and walk in there, I'm telling myself, don't assume shit. Like, you know nothing. You know nothing. And the reason I do that to myself is the moment you claim you know something, you eliminate all other possibilities. You understand? So I always go in from the I know nothing possibility. Then when a GA or an intern or an unpaid volunteer has something to say, you give that guy an avenue to come talk to you. You know, if I come in and I say I know everything or I'm the da-da-da, shorty won't talk to me. And now I miss out on maybe something that they saw. You know what I mean? So when I walk in the room, I know nothing. All right? So during this presentation, if you came here for answers, I know nothing. We can talk about it, and based on your experience and what's going on with you, we can maybe say, hey, let's try this. But, hey, if you're looking for the answers, man, you might need another presentation. All right, long boring out story about who I am. I was born in the DRC, which is the Congo. It's where Muhammad Ali fought George Foreman. So the rumble in the jungle. Why do I bring that up? Because it's part of how I coach. Everybody has a cell phone in here. The mineral in your cell phone is called coltan, and the other one is called cobalt. They come from the soil in the DRC. So those minerals that they're pulled out of the freaking earth power 80% of the cell phones in the nation. So you have a lot of nations that argue over the minerals in the soil out of where my feet used to touch. So I'm from Kinshasa, and the reason I tell you that is I remind myself where I'm from. That way I always got perspective about how my day is going. All right? Because in the United States, if you're having a bad day, I do say, sir, you exaggerate. Okay? When we moved to the United States, I learned English right about 9 years old. We were in New York for a little bit, so I got to sit there and watch cats break beat and break dance on the freaking corner. It was amazing not knowing English and watching people vibe and stuff. So if you gave somebody $20 for a pizza the first time you had pizza, you hope they gave you $17 back. You don't know what money is. You hoped so. Whatever. It's the first time seeing snow. It's the first time seeing people of different pigment. So you learn how to pick up on a vibe. You learn how to communicate differently because you're not just communicating with words. You're communicating with your body language, and you're trying to understand where people are coming from. You're trying to get your point across without misspeaking. You learn. You're learning, adapting and adjusting and trying to be fluid. You've never worn a coat in your life, but now you have a coat, but it's not big enough because you had a jacket. Okay. From there, got a bunch of scholarship offers to play linebacker. I signed with a guy named Dave Rader at the University of Tulsa. And the reason I signed with him is he came to my house with my family, and he had fufu, which is a native African dish. And he sat down with my mother and father, and he sat on the floor and ate the fufu with his hand, and he ate the goat's meat and chased it with the spinach. And we sat there and ate, and then he asked me for my help. He said, hey, you mind helping me? I'm running this program, and I just need a player. And when he said that, my father stood up and said, this is where you're going to go, because this is how we talk to each other. And he's like, you're not going to those other places because they came in suits and talked to me like a business. All right, so I ended up at Tulsa. After Tulsa, I got a weird phone call. After I did 5 years there, I got a weird phone call, and a guy from the St. Louis Rams named Dick Vermeil called and wanted to draft me. And he called me in the 3rd round to tell me he was going to pick me up in the 6th round. Why am I telling you that? It reminds me how to coach. It reminds me, it's a self-efficacy for myself. Like I look back at and say, this is what you've done, so this should be very simple. Because the chances of you coming from Congo to getting drafted in the NFL and getting 5 years professional, 3 NFL, 1 CFL, and 1 World League, use those experiences, right? So after doing 5 years, went back to school, grabbed my master's, knocked it out in 10 months, 32 hours. Pat Ivey gave me two offers. He said I could either hire you as a GA and you would make $600 a month, or I can give you $50,000 and you can be a full-time guy. I took the GA for $600 a month. We call that long money because you're learning how to fish. So I get my master's paid for, I get all the certifications, and then you get a learning. If I would have took the $50,000, now I'm posing as though I know what I'm doing, if that makes sense. Do you understand? Because now I'm full-time. And if you're full-time, it's hard to ask questions because you're supposed to know, right? Right. So I say that for anybody out there that's got these two choices to make. Always take the long money. Take the long money. The short money, it doesn't add up. All right. I want to give credit to all the coaches that I've stole information from. Like, none of this stuff is mine. Zero of it. I've stolen information from Carlisle with the St. Louis Rams. I've stolen information from Jeff Hurd, Jeff Fish, Tom Cross. I've stolen information from Mike Roysick, who let me intern 2 years ago with the Dallas Cowboys and watch a dude lift an NFL team. You hear NFL dudes don't lift? Go to Roysick's team. Your ass is lifting. So you watch a guy that won 5 Super Bowls and however many with the Patriots and however many with the Cowboys, and he lets you intern with him. So it was fun. Damn, man. I was chasing him around the weight room and making sure he had his pen and making sure he had his paper and trying to anticipate what he would do next. And then when we get outside, I was trying to beat him to the point, and then he picked up on it. He started faking like he was looking for something just to hold me down, you know. And then it was like, you know, the veterans started picking up on it. And then they would say stuff like, man, you know, love the tempo, love the tempo, love the tempo. Why am I telling you that? It's just part of where I'm coming from. That's why. So you have him, you have Johnny Parker, who we asked Coach Parker to come in when I was with another university and take a look at our template. Man, Coach JP showed up and he had a red pen and just marked through my whole joint like Zorro. Like he just ripped through the whole thing. Like he was just like, no. I mean, we were conference champs, and he was just knowing me to death. And then so, I mean, that was amazing. Dwayne Carlisle, Chris Roof, a bunch of guys that I just jacked info from that helped me learn what to do and what not to do and what to steal and what not to steal. So big up to all those guys. A bunch of the female coaches that taught me how to be vulnerable, taught me how to be compassionate to the student athletes and how to get to know who they are before you're telling them what to do. So Ann Tamparello, Jenna Heitmeyer, Candace Walls, I mean, Nikki Juppy, a bunch of people. Kaylin Stitcher, don't be mad. All right. My personal leadership. So I have a little thing that I go through the process every single day. Personal leadership for myself. I'm always going to start with why. Why? If somebody calls me and says, hey, I'm interested in you presenting at whatever, my first question to myself is why? What's my reason? What's my purpose? What's my motivation for taking this phone call? What's my reason? What's my purpose? What's my motivation for coming here? Why does this matter? Because I love Blair Prince. And when Blair calls, I go. And he knows that. He knows that. I'm not going to question that. If BP calls me, I'm like, I'm there. And he'll start talking, hey, it's not going to take. I'm like, yo, chill, Blake. I'm coming. And so, I mean, that's my why. When it comes to coaching, I'm just trying to get to heaven. I'm just trying to get to heaven. I'm going to die at about 120 years old, cold, Jack. Brown suede on, bald head clean. And I'm going to be laying there, Ray-Bans on, pretty as hell. And when I die and they pull me up to the gate, that man's going to ask me straight up, what did you do with the 8,000 student athletes I gave you? I ain't going to fumble around, stumble around, or mutter. And I never had a bad day in my life. I have never had a bad day in my life. Jack, I swear to you that. And when that man asks me about the student athletes, I'm going to say I helped make them reliable, responsible young men. And that's it. And he's going to say, come on in, because that's what you were sent to do. That is my purpose, my reason, my mission. Nothing else. Nothing else. All right. So from that, that's my first thing. What's my motivation? What's my why? My next thing is my level of confidence in what I'm going to do. So what am I saying when we're looking at a template, when we're looking at anything? Why? What's my level of confidence in what I'm going to do? What's my faith in it? Another word for confidence is faith. right? So that's what I'm looking at, those two things first. Then after that, the third thing is my intensity. Am I passionate about it? Do I love it? I move up, focus. All right, can we keep their focus? Can I keep my staff's focus? Am I focused? I mean, will it draw my attention, right? Then after that, I start looking at emotional stability. Emotional stability also how it affects how I'm going to live, how it affects my family, how it affects the kids, and then is it going to cause a big sway in how we move along as a group? All right, then the last thing I look is discomfort or pain. So those are my personal leadership steps. And those are things I go through all the damn time. I am not exaggerating. Like if somebody calls with a job opportunity, those things are the first things I do. If it's like, hey, let's take a trip, you want to go out of the country, that's the first thing I do. I'm looking at those things. Never out of order either. They're always in that order. So I suggest, just write down your steps in your personal leadership when you're running your company. You are the CEO of yourself. So when you're running your company, what are your steps? I'm going to always take the long money. Never hesitate. All right. This person here, Andrea Lee, she's my mindfulness coach. This is a shameless plug, but she deserves it. What she would tell me to do right now is to have everyone just take a deep breath in your nose as you're meant to breathe, and just breathe out of your mouth. Take a deep breath and breathe out of your mouth. What's that doing? Puts you in the present moment. It puts you right here, right now. So with all of our athletes, what are we trying to get them to do? You hear the word focus, you'll hear pay attention, you hear attention, you hear all these things. To get a room of athletes to do that, it's a skill. Female or male, it's a skill. It's a skill to get an athlete to focus. How do you get them to focus? You teach them to be in the moment. How do you be in the moment? It's in your breath. Take a deep breath in your nose. Breathe out of your mouth. Back of your brain, down your spinal cord, cold chill. You should get a cold chill. That'll bring you to the moment. She's always talking to me about being intentional. Be intentional. Be present. So what does that mean? Make sure that you see the gentleman in the purple in the back shirt, in the middle row. Make sure you see the burnt orange in the back row. Make sure you notice that there was only one female in this room. So while we're all presenting, there's, 99.999% men, and there's only one female in this room. So I want to be intentional and make sure that we have a conversation about anything that you need to get for your student athletes. Okay? Now, if you're coaching football, great. If not, and you're coaching something else, then we need to have that intentful conversation. All right? So she does a great job with me. And also teaching me not to be judgmental on a thought. So being intentful and being where your feet are. Sometimes your mind strays, but that's what it does. It's supposed to do that. So when your athletes stray, do we punish them? Do we chastise them? When they're talking and you're looking at them and you see their eyes go off, and then you say, eyes back on me. Do you understand that? Do we understand that the mind does that? The mind is supposed to think. It just does that. So what we say is, don't do it without judgment. So, hey, come back. Come back. So right now, I'm thinking about my daughter. So I hope she did her rehab for her Achilles. Now I can come right back. As long as I address that thought. The mind does that. So address the thought, acknowledge it, and then come right back. So what am I saying? In between snaps, in between the play, you have a certain amount of seconds to be right here, right now. So we talk to our team about teaching them, if you're a leader, making sure, hey, look at me. All right, good. Now you can go ahead and talk to them. Because just because you're yelling doesn't mean that you're leading. Just because you're grabbing a guy by the face mask doesn't mean that you're leading. Maybe he's thinking, is his mother here? Is his grandparents here? Did they make the trip safely? They're looking in the stands. Are they distracted because they're looking in the stands? Are they distracted because they're looking at their cell phone? That's what we're taught to say. They're checking on their parents. If I grab my cell phone at halftime, am I distracted? It eases me if I grab my cell phone. It eases my anxiety to know my family's safe. You see what I'm saying? So if they look in the stands, are they distracted? Or are they trying to make sure those people that they're playing for are actually in the stands? So Sometimes we got to remember that. And this is all her information. I mean, this is a shameless plug, but I'm going to leave it up there because she does a great job with me. All right. By a show of hands, who here coaches middle school? Oh, okay, awesome, man. You know, the lone samurai. That is impressive. Salute to you for that endeavor. That's all you, big dog. There's no way I could even pretend. Who here coaches high school? Okay, awesome. All right, so middle school and high school, they're not the same. They are not the same. That's like Mars and Jupiter. They're not the same. Yes, they're people, they're planets, but they're not the same. The information you get here, how do you apply it? I mean, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. If I was ever coaching high school, I would just keep things as simple as possible. And I would understand that genetics are superior. Genetics rule. I'm not going to try to make someone if I'm coaching high school. If I'm coaching high school, that guy's got more reps left in his life. I mean, genetics rule. If he starts to grow up, I'm going to try to help him grow up. If he starts to look like the 1% that will go to college, I'm going to try to help him then. But if he doesn't look like that, I got to understand, did mom drop him off? Because if mom's dropping him off, he might be late. If he's late and he's flustered and I'm coaching high school, what's the point of me jumping kid and kicking his butt? He ain't driving. Is he fed? Because he's not working. He's going to school. What type of background does he come from? If he can't eat, why am I talking to him about lifting? I ain't met his basic needs yet. There are a level of basic needs that we all need met before we do something for somebody else. If I ain't giving him a PBJ, how am I going to squat kid in high school? And in high school, I will keep things so simple. I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, by simple, that doesn't mean you can't go APRE and you can't switch up and go, 5-3-1 and you can't go linear and then you can't go wave. You can do those things, but I would keep things simple as far as coaching points are concerned. I would just say the same thing over and over again until the seniors and juniors start just repeating it. If I'm coaching squat, I'm going to always say hip width, feet up under your armpits, press your feet into the ground, right where you can feel that at. I'm going to tell them to push through the ground and tear the floor apart. Tear the floor apart. Why am I going to say that? Because it lines up your ankle, knees, and hips, and it gets your glutes firing. Now, I'm going to say big chest, sit your hips back, knees out, get to the bottom, and get off that hot stove. That's what I'm going to say. Now, I might add a different training modality or something like that, but that's it. I'm not going to sit there and try to, be God and try to make somebody out of a high school kid. But once I start seeing potential, we can start picking it up. Small college and high school are not the same thing. They're not. Big college, small college and big college are not the damn, now. NFL, it's not the same. It's not the same. I'm not going to lift Tom Brady like I lift my college quarterback. Chill out. That's not going to happen. So the information I get when I get there and I got Tom Brady, how many years he got in? How many surgeries has he had? Does that make sense? So for the culture that I'm in, I got to sit there and I got to think about those things. It's not the same. If I'm in high school and I got 1 or 2 people that are coaching a room of 150 kids, it's not the same. I got a staff of damn near 20. I got a staff of 20. And 10 of those dudes are trying to get jobs. So they're like piranhas trying to get at. Like they're looking for responsibility. It's not the same when I come to work. When I come to work, they stop and I'm the last man in the office. Because if I'm the first man in the office, then all of a sudden everybody's there early and everybody's running around messing up the vibe. I don't want that. I don't want you trying to fake your way to this. I can't stand it like that. All right. A Hall of Famer is not the same in the NFL. A Hall of Famer and a regular NFL player are not the same. How are you going to load them? What methods are you going to use? What's your rep scheme? How often are you going to get them under the bar? How often are you going to touch them? Jack, if you don't hear anything else, just get this. All of these are different. It shouldn't even be called football across the board. And this is my personal opinion. So since I got the clicker, I get to say what I want to say. It's not the same. Like you're talking about from middle school where everyone's there to high school where everyone's there to the 1% of high school. And then when you get to small college, it's 1% of that. And then big college is 1% of that. Then you get to the NFL, it's less than that of that. All right. This is just, if you went to your psych class to get your master's, just remember this. These are the 6 patterns of athletic motivation. I show these regularly in the presentations that I'm blessed to do. And the reason I show them is because this is what we go through, I would say, 4 times a semester. So I'll lead them 4 times. And after I lead them, the players will lead them. And the reason that we go through these is just so they understand who they are. And then they understand what I am. I'm a mix of here and a mix of here. So I ask myself, if something isn't going well, is that my motivation kicking in? Is that my button kicking in? If it is, then I'll take a deep pause, if that makes sense. All right. The first one, just learn helplessness. This is the thing that we're trying to, from middle school to high school, that you're trying to teach the athlete to do. You're trying to teach the athlete to be in control of the situation. All right, learned helplessness is just that. Learning to be helpless, learning to blame the referee, learning to blame the ball. They drop a pass and then they wipe their gloves off. You're like, dog, nah. You know, or they slip and you see a cat slip and what do? He looks at his cleats. You know, so those are things that in our program we're looking for right now. If a guy doesn't take his snack, he says he had class. I'll jump you right now. I'll jump you. I know you had class. This is college. See what I'm saying? Water's wet. Don't tell me that. So it's like learning to be helpless, learning to pass the blame. All right? These are the guys that during the game, if you see that early, they're going to say little quotes right there. You know, it wasn't my fault. Alignment, assignment, technique, you didn't do your job. And you know, as the performance coach, as a weight coach, as a strength coach, as the guy that's working with them, you know who those guys are. Almost more so than their position coach and the coaches do, because you're sitting there and watching it. All right. Then fear of failure. We spend a lot of time on this. We spend a lot of time on this, fear of failure, with the entire team. We spend a lot of time on it with the entire staff, because there's a misconception about it. Fear of failure could be a great motivator. Don't nobody want to look bad. Don't nobody want to look bad. Like, I'll be fronting to tell you that I want to get up here and do a good presentation. There's always a fear of looking like dog crap, right? There's always like, oh, I might not, nah. That's a great motivator, because it's going to cause you to be authentic. It's going to cause you to be more true to what you want to do. So we talk to our athletes about that. When you get that, how do you get over it or start to understand it? Because it's going to happen to you. It happens to the coaches. You see it. You see it. Like, you've been around some big programs when a big game comes, coach loses his damn mind, suck all the air out the room, and now you're like, all right. Driven by what others think. I can't let my family down. This can't be happening. So those are the quotes that you hear from those guys, and those are the ones that we spend a lot of time on. So we'll always bring the Michael Jordan example up of when he got cut in high school and what that did to him, right? We'll bring up Oprah Winfrey getting fired from the radio station. We'll bring up Walt Disney, you know, couldn't get accepted his job. We'll bring up as many successful people as possible to tell them there's no such thing as failure. It's an illusion. It's something we created. There's opportunity. That's all there is. All there is opportunity. And then just trying to get them to take a deep breath and be right here, right now. All right? All right. Fear of success, last expectations. They're focused on the negative aspects of winning. Like, as soon as I get drafted, now I got to buy everybody in my neighborhood Ferraris. I mean, everybody's got my phone number. They're all going to call me. You know, everybody thinks I'm this. Everybody thinks I'm that. I hear that from the 4- and 5-star cats. And sometimes you can pick up on it, and sometimes they mask it real well. But you walk up on them and have a great conversation, they start to admit a little bit of it to you, because their mothers are sitting there filling them with that sugar. Oh, you're this, you're that. Oh, you're this, you're that. And then when they get to work, coach is on them. All right. Some of these guys, they avoid competition sometimes. Like, they're the guys that you're saying, if you're that much faster than the guy, why are you not winning every single rep? Why are you not doing whatever? The expectation is heavy. I don't remember how many years ago it was. It's like 4 or 5 years ago. LeBron James was playing. I think it was the Spurs, and his shot looked like straight garbage. Like, it was bouncing off the backboard. It was like, it just looked terrible, and he looked heavy. And I was sitting there thinking, yeah, because he's thinking he's got to put up 60 points every game. And that expectation, I mean, shoot, he's still a young dude. And you could see that game. That was like one of the most different games I've seen him play. And you could see it. You could see Tiger Woods go through that stuff. You could see guys go through that stuff. All right, this is what we say for the quarterbacks and for the specialists and the guys that got one snap. The holder, the kicker, the punter, everything's got to be perfect. And then we just spend a lot of time talking about that's not true. It's not always going to be perfect. There's always going to be a breeze. There's always going to be someone talking. And if you think it's got to be a perfect throw and it's got to be this, we now have a problem. There's no such thing as the perfect rep. You're working towards that, yes. But there's no such thing as the perfect rep. So we spend a bunch of time on that. It could have been better. I could have done more. After the game, they're up in the morning and they're working again. I mean, shoot, after you've worked 5, 6 days, we need to put in a big day of recovery also. So getting those guys to understand, it's okay that, but you're being taken over by a demon. Underachiever, they fail to reach their potential. They don't appreciate hard work. They rely on their natural abilities. Talk about high school a lot. I hear you talk about high school. I always get my quick one. My quick one is just a fast up down. So I don't want to hear about your high school. Everybody was the man in their hood. All right, now this is where Coach Joey Badass's team is. This is where these guys are. Learned effectiveness. The ability to produce the desired result. It's the ability to produce the desired result. So what does that mean? If you got a guy that's a weight gain guy or a weight loss guy, and I got to put a coach on them, I've already failed. I know a lot about that kid already. If I got to do that, I've already failed. Learned effectiveness. If you look at this, I got this up here kind of wrong because it's going up and down. It's going vertical. It shouldn't go vertical. It should go like in a cipher and almost in a circle, if that makes sense. It should start here and then it should end here, as that's how they travel. Learned effectiveness is when a guy understands that it's his decision. He's supposed to pack his snacks. He's supposed to go to the restaurant and he's supposed to say, I'd like extra vegetables on that sandwich. You know, could you not put mayo and put tomato and all that mustard on there? Just leave that off. That's all right. I'll go fruit instead of fries. He's learning to be effective. When he gets up, he takes his water bottle, but he has another water bottle in the car because we give him 2 a semester. He has another water bottle at the facility. He washes it because he doesn't want to get sick. He fills his water bottle up because he understands how important hydration is. He's learning to be effective. You talk about homework and you talk about, hey, I'm not a great student, but if I start early, it makes everything for me easier for me. So he learns that. He starts to get those things. So then when he comes to train, you don't sit there and try to yell at him or get him going about warming up. He starts to understand if I just start warming up a little bit right now, it's going to help me for when coach comes through the door. It's better when I show up early. If training session starts at 6, I should show up at what time? So that's where we want our guys. That's what we all want, is our athletes to learn to be effective. How much film do you want them to watch? Does that make sense? If we're making them do it, then we're doing a disservice. I tell our guys, I'm not in the make you do it business. I'm not. And when we go through this, as many times as we go through it the semester, our veterans end up teaching the new guys that are coming in. They teach this. This is part of our sports psych course. It's part of our mindfulness behavior course. So they want the new guys to get to this point, and they'll tell them this is what he's going to expect. This is what they're going to expect. And when they come in, it's 100%. It's effective. It's super effective. As far as templates and what we do and what I've done and da-da-da, This is it. I start from the neck up. Start from the neck up. And then it starts to work from there. All right? What that starts to sound like, they don't blame others. You start to hear a high caliber conversation. And it's great to hear that high caliber conversation. You start to hear people talk about their alignment, assignment, and technique and what they did wrong. You start to hear people say, I had my feet too wide on that rep. Yeah, I didn't take in. I didn't lock in. Ah, that was me. And they'll rack it. I don't even say anything to them. I love to watch a kid make a mistake and then correct himself. If you've got 5 reps, I'm hoping that you make a mistake, so see what you do when you correct yourself. And we talk about it. So let's say we give you a template and it's got a weight on there. I love to coach the kid that says, Coach, it's got a 255 here. I'm feeling good today. I'm like, all right, what are you thinking? I'm a 265 that because I feel like because I got that sleep last night, I ate a big carb-loaded meal. I didn't have any homework, so I just chilled. That today, my body is just a little bit better than it was. All right, then I guess that's your 75% today. Just write that down for me. Put big meal on there and a lot of sleep. And they'll do that. That's the conversation you want to have. So once it gets like that in there as a coach, man, that's when it's fun. Them cats will come in and say, Coach, why did you pick this template? Why am I in this group? Why am I in the hypertrophy group? You know, hey, Coach, why did you put me in the strength group? Why did you put me in the power group? What is this special force development thing that you got me in? Well, you know, you're 6'8". Or you're a wide receiver and you're already 230. And what we got to do is we got to get away from that. A wide receiver, 230 pounds, squatting 800 pounds, hey, I think that's enough. We need to start working on some other qualities. And he's like, oh, man, but I really want to squat 1,000. Oh, shit, I want you to, too. You know, just not in here. All right. Normally there's a slow clap. I'm going to hold you back from that. Going to talk about just some things that we do that we pick from everyone. Coach Joe did a great job of putting a whole bunch of variations of what's up, what they do. We do some of the aspects that he put up there. But we only do them when there is a clear why. When there's a clear, that kid needs something different. We got a kid coming in out of high school who's already squatted 750 pounds or something like that. Okay, I know that. I know that. So what does that mean? I mean, do I have big enough Texas bars or big power bars in there that's going to support that type of jump? This kid plays running back and ran track. Chances of him producing a lot of force are high. So now that's my why. So the staff's been sitting there having to talk about that. Do you need a monolift? How much is a monolift? $10,000. Well, do you want to sit there and watch this kid walk 1,000 pounds out every single day? Well, let's start talking about it. You know, do you need to use the push system? What do you want to do? What do you want to do as far as rep scheme is concerned? Because this kid's going to want to lift. So that's just an example of what we go through as far as just making sure that we're thinking about the why. So anytime we put something on paper, there is a clear need for it. If you come in the room and you're a 200-pound defensive end, man, you're in the hypertrophy group. You're in the hypertrophy group. You're getting extra freaking protein. I'm not going to check your protein cup. I'm not. Why? Because I'm going to test you in 8 weeks. And punk, if you don't show or prove, I'm going to air it out. If you have 8 weeks to train, you got 8 weeks to gain 8 pounds. And if you don't, then we're going to air it out. But I'm not going to chase you up and down the damn street trying to get you your 8 pounds. I'm not going to do it. And it's always worked. Coach, how am I doing on time, boss? How am I doing on time? Good? Good. Hey, I want to open the floor up, and I want to start with the lady. If you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and shoot them.
I'm good right now, thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions or anything that you want to test me on or anything like that? I just did that great of a job?
You got 15.
15? All right. Well, sir.
The last principle in your personal leadership steps?
The last principle was pain, discomfort. How much pain am I willing to go through? How much discomfort am I willing to go through for this position? So if I get a call or a job offer, okay, how much pain and discomfort am I willing to go through for this position? Sir.
How long have you had that personal
I've had that philosophy, I'm going to say, the question was how long have we had that personal philosophy? I've had that philosophy since 1999. Sir.
So when you're talking about your patterns of athletic motivation and going over that with the team, what does the implementation of that look like, you know, kind of within the confines of, you know, how much time you have with them in the office?
Right. Okay, so that's a great question. The question was, how do we implement the 6 patterns of athletic motivation? So what we do is we got a class, a course. As soon as the training session is over, we have a 5-minute course. So on Monday, the topic will be nutrition. And the dietitian and myself are going to teach them on the course. There's going to be a pop quiz, and there's going to be consequences and repercussions for not being able to answer the simplest answers in the pop quiz. That means you're just not paying attention. How much of the body is water? Just say 75 to 80%, and you're going to be okay. And so you'll hear guys go, the answer is 75. Don't say anything else. Just say 75. And so Monday is the nutrition course. Tuesday is the applied performance course. What is that? What are we doing with the GPS, the push system, the heart rate monitor, the atom wave, the ARP wave? How does your body work? Why do we focus so much on your CNS? Why do we focus so much on your brain? Like what? Those questions. So the anatomy chart is up, and we're talking about the anatomy, and we're talking about what's happening to you when we're training you. So that's on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we talk about regeneration. Thursday is sports psychology and mindfulness. And then Friday wraps it all together. So that's 5 minutes after we lift, and it goes like that every day. We've been doing that forever. Since 2004, there's always a class. You'll never come in the weight room, lift, then leave. What? So I got you bigger than you left? That's like a 16-year-old driving a semi-truck. So when do you get your maturity? Like when do we grow you? Like I know if you didn't have a father at home, I'm wearing that guy's shoes. So you're telling me I got this son that comes in here and he lifts and leaves? That's not right. That's not right. We haven't talked about how to treat people yet. We haven't talked about how to treat women yet. We haven't talked about consent. We haven't talked about that you cannot have consent if there's alcohol involved. That is a law in a lot of states. If there's alcohol involved, you cannot have consent. You should see the look on those guys' faces when you have that conversation, which we've been having since 2004. Sir. You know what? Joey talked about it, was talking about showing love. So the question was, what made us want to implement these courses after the lift? We're not going to have the cream of the crop as far as like a 20-star recruit come through the door. We got to find a way to close gaps and close distances. So how a guy sees himself is important. How does a guy see himself? So from the neck up, if we can coach you from the neck up, maybe we can cut the distance between us and whoever we're going to see as far as recruiting is concerned. So we got a lot of this information from Coach Rick McGuire when he was at the University of Missouri. He was also the head guy for the U.S. Olympic team. So 22 years, or it might have been 26, but sports psych coach. And he also opened up the Positive Coaching Institute. And he was just hard on me as far as the language used when you're coaching young men. So that's when we realized it was a need. What makes one guy, if they're equal, more successful than the other guy? If they're equal, what makes one little 5'8" guy and another 5'8" guy so different if they're equal? It's from the neck up. It's how they see themselves. Somebody somewhere spent time trying to improve the way they see themselves. We can't outcoach the way you see yourself. I don't care if you're Lombardi. I don't care if you're Bear Bryant. You can't outcoach the way somebody sees themselves. You can't. Now, you can help give them knowledge, and then when you're doing that, that'll empower them, and then from that, they can go ahead and start growing up and start understanding autonomy, and this is a choice. This is the decision. I'm choosing to see myself like this. Where did I get this from? Let's talk about it. there another one? Yes, sir.
Coach, I'm sure you've dealt with plenty of stubborn athletes who don't learn as quickly as we'd like them to. So you say, okay, you got 8 pounds in 8 weeks. You got to learn.
Go, word up. Yeah.
Right? Or you're going to air it out. I think that's the
Yeah.
word you use.
I'm dead ass about that 8 pounds.
And I believe you. So I deal with kids who are hard learners, right? Have you had kids in the past that have not met that goal? And then at what point do you have to start holding the hand, or do you just forget about it?
The question is, when we set the weight gain or the weight loss, if we have 8 weeks to train, you have to gain 8 pounds. If you have to lose weight, you have to lose 8 pounds, because a pound a week is what's considered healthy, right? We're looking out for the long game. The long game means a long life. I'm not trying to give a man diabetes. I'm not trying to get something jumped off because I made you gain 20 pounds in 8 weeks. Because now I'm putting myself before the health of that individual. And that's not how they would do it in Congo. So, to your question, and I'm going to be as honest as I have never had an athlete after 8 weeks not make their weight. So, because it's such a big deal, because they're going to get weighed at breakfast, they're going to get weighed at lunch, they're going to get weighed at night when they walk out. And because that's what we want to be good at. We want to be great at developing them, but we want to be good at holding them accountable. If I'm great at holding you accountable, that means I'm making you do it. The test is going to come for them. You're going to play Clemson. You're going to play Clemson. So, have you been doing what you need to do to pass that test?
So you are putting the mirror up in front of their face every day?
No, I'm not putting a mirror up. I'm not. There's a scale. They weigh themselves. So weigh yourself, write the weight down. I'll never lie to you. Don't lie to me. So if a guy lies, the whole team is handling that. The whole team is handling that. And their job is to gain a pound a week. And it's awesome. Now, I've never had a guy not gain a pound a week or not lose a pound a week. We've had situations where we've learned. And I'll give you an example, 2 situations. We had a receiver walk in, and he was 138 pounds. And our job was to get him to gain weight. And what I said was, I want you to eat 6 meals. Man, shorty hung in there. 2 weeks later, he said, Coach, 6 meals. He's like, that's more than I eat almost an entire week. So I said, talk to me. He said, you know, like when I woke up, I would take a pack of sugar and pour it in some water. And then I would drink it so my head wouldn't hurt. And then he said, I would eat lunch at about 2:30 or as late as possible. And I would eat as much of it at school, kind of just take some with me and eat it in my locker. That way, if mom didn't have dinner ready or if she was at work, I wouldn't be hungry. I'm like, thank you. I told him to eat 6 in one day. There was no way. So from then we went to 2. I want you to eat 2 meals. I want you to make sure you have breakfast, make sure you have lunch. And we knew he would eat dinner after that. But he went from 138 to 178 is what he graduated at, which isn't uncommon. But just that conversation itself changed it. I'll go flip side of that. Met a kid, he was 400 pounds. And he was 6'8", 400 pounds. So what we were trying to do was get him to lose weight. But how much weight should he lose? Because he moved like a cat. So am I not being present and listening to him? Because right now, he's talking about a kid that's playing basketball, running around, making all the times, but he's 400 pounds. Maybe he's from the future. I don't know. Maybe he time traveled back in the machine the Terminator did. So what I got to do is say, okay, am I in a fixed mindset? Am I being fixed? Okay, this is what we're going to do. If you can't make your running test at any time, that'll determine that you need to lose weight. And then now that's a conversation with us and the head coach. We signed him at 400 pounds, coach. We signed him at 400 pounds. Now you're saying make him lose weight. How much weight? We have 8 weeks. I can give you 8 pounds. The flip side, the learning, was once you start squatting a creature like that, and you're sitting there, you got heavy weights in his hand, and you got to order more dumbbells. We need to get 225-pound dumbbells we're calling Blair Prince for, and he's doing those things. He starts to get yoked. Now he's 420 pounds. You see what I'm saying? He's 420 pounds. Everybody's looking at me like he's supposed to lose weight. I said, Coach, if you look at the muscle mass, he has the most muscle mass of anyone on the team. So everything we ask him to do, he's doing, and he's getting bigger. Okay, cut his food. We're cutting it. He's drinking more water. Well, what can we do? Don't sign a kid that's 400 pounds. Go. Anything else?
I got a question for you.
Boss.
So, obviously, you were at Missouri, Baylor, now SMU. I guess the thing I would like to hear is, what are a couple things that you've done with the staffs that you've had or been on that you would say is imperative that you've done to switch those programs, right? I mean, when you took over Baylor, I mean, look at the significant increase that you had.
Man, we were car carrying badasses, man. Like them cats, they shoot, salute to those kids. They work their butts off. The question is, what did we do as far as staff development?
I mean, for, buy-in from
Okay.
Like, what were a few things that you were saying, man, this was really good for us.
Okay.
And it sold our program.
Okay, so the question is, what do we do as far as staff buy-in, kind of staff chemistry? Just
towards the players to get them to buy in. Like,
okay.
Obviously, you talked about your mental training. Obviously,
Right.
that's a huge deal. Okay. What were some other little things that you would say that you did, that you've done up until this point that have really, I guess maybe expedited the process or?
I would say that one thing we do with our staff is we empower them. You don't work for me, you work with me. I'm going to be the best assistant on anybody's staff. Guaranteed, hands down. I don't care. If I work with you, I'm going to be your best assistant. I can guarantee you my damn check. I can guarantee you my damn check. I'm not a game when it comes to that. When it comes to having your back, I will work my ass off for you. I will. Whatever you need. Now, the problem is, can you handle me working my ass off for you? I ain't say I was going to work long. I said I'm going to work my ass off for you. Like, when we come to work and you tell me I need this done, you will get that done. So we start from there. I want to be the best assistant to them. So by being the best assistant to them, I think they say, okay, there needs to be some reciprocity. They need to be able to give that back. We empower them. If you're in charge of this thing, that is your thing. If you're the getaway driver, you better know the make and the model of the car. You better have the tires on the car. You better have the gas tank full. You better have a backup car in case we get a flat. You better have a place to stash the car in the garage. If you're the freaking utilities man, you need to know the freaking every single thing that we need in this weight room. If I say you're in charge of equipment, man, damn, you're in charge of equipment. Don't come to me with questions. Don't come to me with questions. It's your job. You're in charge of equipment. You come to me with solutions. I go find you money. I go find you money. You tell me what we need. If you're the strength guy and you're supposed to be getting us freaking strong, you're supposed to tell me, I need a monolift and I need $12,000 from you. It's $10,000 plus $2,000 in tax. I'll call Blair Prince and say, I can't present in the morning. I got to go get this monolift for my strong guy because my strong coach is telling me that we don't have the equipment to go ahead and help this kid out. If you're the speed coach, man, don't let me out demo you. If I say we're going to this and I'm there before you, then I don't need you. I ain't giving you anything. And that's the deal. So once they know that that's their deal, they handle it. And they always have. If you're the dietitian, don't let me ask a question that stumps you. If we're in a staff meeting, you're supposed to be providing us information and teaching us information. We want to run this thing like a CEO, like a Fortune 500 company, if that makes sense. You be great at what you do. Be great at what you do. I don't care about your weaknesses. That's to me, when I hear somebody talk about their weaknesses, I'm like, you're lost. You're in the smoke. All I care about is your strength. Whatever that one thing you do really well, that's what you're going to do really well. Well, I'll say this, man. We can catch each other after. Okay. Hey, appreciate it. Hopefully you got one thing out of this, man. And I have a hard time with presentations because I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm trying to do well, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't put myself in a situation where I'm trying to impress you or something like that. My objective was to try to get you some info that you might be able to use. So hopefully we did that. If we did not, man, meet up afterwards and we can answer some questions, all right? Thank you very much.